Mafs, Australia, Season 13, Episode 26.
Yep.
Wow.
He's lost his voice.
He's lost his voice.
He made one final parting shot, exposing Beck for sending scathing text messages.
I have screenshots of what you've said about Alissa and David.
I love Alyssa's reaction to that.
1:03 a.m.
Yeah.
Is that what it said?
Yeah. That says 10:42, but whatever.
Juliette felt passionate enough to send me the receipts that she was going to show the experts about the language that was used behind my back.
They are on
and
WhatsApp.
David's back, and I can tell you right now that what I just read was disgusting. I'm actually pretty dumbfounded. Like, I thought there were going to be some nasty messages, but not that sort of language.
Disgusting, most sickening.
It's all here. Wow.
I was expressing my frustration to people I thought were my friends, but the texts aren't relevant. The problem is Gia. You're the one that's instigated it.
Beck said, Alissa is going down, rat bitch with her rat husband. I'm gonna go so hard on Alissa and her fake relationship. You know what? Alissa probably isn't a bad girl, but her head is so far up her asshole, she doesn't even realize what a she actually is.
Yeah, you don't need the blur there to know what that
Sorry,
means.
this is like
It's just absolutely nasty.
That's fairly
Anyways.
tame compared to what I thought they would be.
No.
It gets worse.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, there
okay.
you go.
Beck then goes on to say, the only fake in this place are those two influencer wannabe. Wow.
The last night's commitment ceremony fallout.
Yeah.
Juliette left.
Yay!
Gia says that she needs to go to the toilet. It seems like about 40 minutes later,
Oh,
she
no.
still hasn't come back.
I've worked out what that is. She's one of those people that can only poop at home. Okay, so she needed to go to the toilet, so she got the Uber back to the apartment. And that's fair. Some people, they poop shy and they can only poop at home.
That's okay.
No? Or is she a drama queen? Is she a complete and total drama queen?
It's a number two. She's a number two. It's a number two.
What was that, number two? My
Number
option
two.
number two?
Number two.
Yeah, complete and total drama queen.
Gotcha.
I think
Number
you're
two.
right. I think she is a number two.
Number two. Definitely a number two.
Yeah.
And then Scott, no idea, finally comes out and asks the producer, where's Gia? And the producer says,
Gone.
she's gone. And he says,
She's gone.
I can't
No,
remember.
no, he says, no, she's not. Then they say, yeah, we
Yeah.
called her an Uber.
She got her stuff.
Yeah, we called her an Uber.
She called her stuff and asked for an Uber. And he says,
What?
oh.
How did she do that? How did that happen?
Is she magic? Can she just call for an Uber and it happens?
That's so cool.
And
I got such
so-
a cool wife.
Yeah, she's like magic. And so then we see the wash up. We see that Juliette is still literally full of venom.
Yep.
Obviously, at the airport, she decided to just offload all those text messages directly to Alissa,
Yep.
as you do.
So let's take the victim and make her a proper victim just before we go.
And from what we can gather, this is very early in the experiment. This is before they even got to the green flag, red flag.
They said it was a group chat, but no one else has got them. Only Gia had them. So the group before the current group was Brooke, and it was Mel, and it was Gia
And it was
Beck.
Rebecca and
But
Beck.
at least those four,
Yeah.
which lines up with Beck's ballistic episode at the dinner party.
Yeah.
To that, we know that Beck was out of that group.
Yep.
And that there wouldn't have been a group chat because Mel went and Rebecca went and Brooke went all at that time.
Yeah.
So after that point, there was no group.
Well, not inside the maths experiment.
Well, And also, that's when Beck was supposedly gathering data on Alissa in Adelaide. That was at the same time.
We see Alissa and David reading some of the messages. Supposedly there's a lot more, and there's some...
Beck used all the extra Australian words, though.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yes.
DLC, the add-on.
Yep.
Yes, and Beck seems that's...
Beck
in
seems
her
very
group-
comfortable, yeah. Beck
yeah,
seems very
in her
comfortable
group,
with the add-on
that's
Australian
language
words.
that they use, and we've already touched on this, that is an Australian thing. If sometimes you're in a group and that's the language that's used. Sometimes you're in a workplace, and that outside of that workplace, but in a social setting, that's the language that's used. And you either use it or you know what I mean?
What Gia did with Juliette was he grabbed the thing out, set the thing up, set the timer in, and then dumped and covered.
Yeah, she did. She unleashed the explosive device and then ran away.
That she did. So then we basically were up to, we see Filip and Stella, they are back on track. Thankfully, Filip's not having to have the snip 10 weeks into knowing someone, so that's a good thing.
I think actually that's a big window into Stella that we need to understand. She's worn the T-shirt, dramatic overthinker, now. And yes, but she always seemed extraordinarily reasonable.
Yeah.
And this is the window into Stella's unreasonable side. We all have one. In her particular case, there's our window.
Yeah, we got to peek behind the Stella curtain and go, okay, so some interesting stuff back there.
Yep.
And I mean, they're at the stage of the experiment where that's
gonna
where
come
they're
out.
out. So
Yeah, it's gonna come out.
that was interesting. We also saw that, Alissa and David also, that Alissa is still potentially struggling a little bit with this. There's no drama in this relationship.
Yep.
And I'm just, what do I do with all this extra spare time and energy?
But
Because he won't engage in drama.
But when it's revealed, she's sitting on the sofa there, not on the couch bit, when it's revealed that there are receipts and there's it was revealed that a lot of bad stuff was said by Beck. I think Alyssa's response was actually the least dramatic response in Mafs history.
Yeah.
Where she just sort of smiled and went, "Of course there is."
Yeah, so basically we see that they get the envelope, the old dreaded envelope under the door, and it is feedback from another couple's partner.
And entirely coincidentally, David is giving feedback to Beck. Isn't that coincidental? Shocking how these things happen. The stars aligned, I suppose, to cause this to happen.
That's right, James. That's right. It's all been pre-programmed, hasn't it, James? They went tippity tip tap 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 tap. Then they pulled it back, didn't they?
Yep.
Threw it in.
I think effectively they stuck the pin back in. They got the grenade, stuck the pin back in, gave it a bit of a polish, and then threw it.
Here's a fresh one. Right, roll the tape, cutie.
This year, the participants won't know who they are meeting in the experiment at the partner swap.
Nice.
To create an environment that was
Nice.
and raw,
Yeah.
without any time to think about what they wanted to say or feedback they planned to give. Instead, giving invaluable perspectives in the moment.
I was like, far out.
Ooh.
I've got a pretty good relationship with Stella.
What's wrong?
She's always good to talk to.
Okay.
She's pretty calm and collected.
Stop for a second.
And there's no...
Okay. Amanda's just had a reaction and we need to hear what that's about. What reaction did you have and
What's
why?
going on?
Scott said,
Well, no. Scott said if it had have been Scott, if it had have been Danny or Beck, I would have just walked out.
yeah.
And he's like, it's you. Whew. Right?
Yeah.
Stella, she doesn't put sugar on top.
No.
She just tells you how it is, right? She's a bit like us. She's going to lay it straight. And when Scott tells Stella about what's been happening behind closed doors,
Ooh.
yes.
Yeah.
And about the dinner party, the commitment, the dinner party, with her basically getting Juliette primed up ready. Yeah. Then the commitment ceremony. Yeah. What's going to happen is it, I don't think the Gia will actually turn up. Anyway, what's going to happen is if they do get back to the apartment, this is Scott and Gia, and they then have a conversation, Gia's back's going to come straight away that it was Stella. And then when Scott tries to talk, Gia is going to attack him even further. She already attacked him, and her whole I won't beg for love or whatever nonsense that was. What a load of crock.
Also combined with the I won't listen to anyone else in this experiment, no one's got anything to tell me because we're the best couple.
Yeah.
So, yes, James.
Yes, that's right. That is exactly what's going to happen.
Having this conversation with Stella,
I never
it's
thought
made
of
my relationship seem a bit more clear. It's giving me concerns.
So we have a couple couples to cover.
Yes.
We have Filip and Sam.
Filip and Sam. We'll go them now because we've remembered
That was,
them first.
Filip basically was sort of saying to Sam, hey man, you really need to have these hard conversations.
Yep.
They're hard, but they don't get resolved unless you have them. You don't know what page you're on unless you both open the book and go, let's read the words. Is that what you're reading?
I get the feeling that Sam is the easygoing, cruisy guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Chris has got the nasty cutting edge. And as a result, the cruisy guy is going to go, just let him get on with it.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. He'll calm down, and then we'll have a proper conversation about it later. And that never happens.
Yep.
So whatever Chris says stands.
Yeah, I kind of expected this from Chris.
Yep.
Because, as you said, Chris is the type to sort of take control of it.
Yep.
Not that Sam can't, but I don't think... Chris didn't open it up for conversation. Chris said how it was and then left it.
Chris is a real sort of pearl clutcher. He's a, how dare you, blah, blah, blah.
He gets that on, yeah.
Yeah, right. He gets that whole thing going that then would make anyone who's cruisy...
Backpedal.
Well, backpedal and do that. Well, I'm not going to go there again. That was just painful. So Sam seems to be the cruisy one. So I think Chris has found that gets him his way most in life.
Yeah.
And that's just the path he's going to use. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good.
No, it hasn't worked for him up until now. Clearly
Having
it hasn't.
Having said that, Sam's cruisiness hasn't worked for him.
No, that's right. That's right.
They are a bad match in my eyes.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're a pretty bad match.
Like, they match in terms of what they said at the vows, and they match in terms of what they do.
Yep.
But they don't match in pretty much anything else.
Well, the energy is really important. Right? I think the two most important things in a match is shared values and
Synergy.
energy.
Synergy, yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay, we will move on to whoever is...
Stella and Scott.
Okay, Stella. Stella is Stella.
Stella
right?
is
She's
Stella.
a star.
She's
She
Stella.
is.
Yep.
Yep.
But
Well, we knew with Scott that from his relationship with Gia, he is used to listening to the woman on the other side of the table and going, yes, ma'am, I agree.
Yeah, Stella has given honest feedback to Scott. Scott needed to hear it. He knows deep down that it's true. The bottom line is that, yeah, everything outside of Gia's whole other, she needs drama in her life, and she needs to be the one controlling that narrative of drama. And Scott's realising that's going to carry out into the outside world, and okay, so I need to ask her, is that what it's like on the outside? I mean, he met her friends. Do we need to say any more here? And so the penny's starting to drop for Scott. Oh, hang on. Like, yeah, we might be, fantastic in the bedroom and out partying and, we're going to pay happy families and blah, 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 right? However, all the drama, and I mean, he's thought it's funny so far. However, he's starting to not think it's funny anymore, which we said this right at the beginning. There will come a point, like you said, there are very few men in the world. Men want peace.
Yeah.
They want peace. They do not want drama.
Scott will back Gia up on drama. He will snicker evilly with
He'll
her.
just back Gia up.
He will back Gia up, but he will sit there and laugh sort of evilly with her when she's doing something.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to him having to get the claws out, he doesn't care. He
Well-
doesn't really care. I can't really associate with you, Danny, because my wife said I couldn't.
Yep. If it comes down to, if he's got a choice between having a great big fight or a quiet beer watching telly, when he is in partnership with Gia, going along with her and her schemes and her plans and all of that, lets him get to his quiet beer and his telly.
Yeah.
Right? When he's sitting there across from Stella, he might realise at that point, because he's with someone who is far more
Level-headed.
that if he was with someone who was more level-headed like Stella, he could have his beer and his telly anytime.
He could have it a lot more.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
beer and telly.
More beer and telly.
Actually,
More
he's not a
quiet
drinker,
time.
is he? But
No, he's not a drinker anymore, but gym time.
Yeah.
He could have more gym time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That this is going to rob him of his energy.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And-
he's, yeah, so
and
he,
I think Gia has also said, oh, it's the stress of the experiment.
Which
And
is
that's
why
why
he
he's
brought
asked
up.
Stella,
Yeah.
do you think it's going to be like this on the outside? And Stella said, yeah, well, the outside world's far more stressful. Yeah, you've got to make rent for a start. You've got to do all of those things in the outside world. You've got to look after a child. You've got to make rent. You've got to, the car needs repairs. You have a flat tire, whatever. All of that stuff happens in the outside world versus the outside world is far more stressful versus sitting in a flat and having to do the exercises and go to the occasional commitment ceremony. That's not really a hard life.
No. This is what Gia was worried about when she was talking about Scott leaving to talk to someone. She didn't say it in these words, but she was totally thinking, I'm really worried he's going to get someone with some sense
Yeah.
who might be able to put ideas in his head that he probably would have thought if he was thinking at all.
From all the bullying at the start of this experiment that went on for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Well, it is from that era, though.
I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Leave me alone. Oh, shut up! Make sure that you don't bring up the text messages yet.
Okay.
That was a group text with Mel, Rebecca, Brooke, Gia,
Oh.
and myself.
We were right.
Avoid-
bingo!
Got it.
Done.
This is feedback week. Let's get feedback
But first
for
week.
our relationship, but let's
Wow.
not bring up text messages till later.
Cool.
I didn't know that. I just had a feeling from,
All I'm
The vibe
thinking
of them,
about
yeah.
is how Alissa wanted to unpack that with Beck.
Gia sent them to Juliette for God knows what reason.
This is my worst nightmare.
I think I know what reason.
what Alissa needed to say, what they needed to get on the same page was, if you get Beck and I get Danny, try not to engage in any conversation about the text messages.
Yep.
Putting that emphasis, don't talk about it,
Yeah, just shuts it down.
and that's not really fair, because that put a lot more pressure on David, especially because he was trying to not talk
Yeah.
about it, and Beck needs to talk about it.
Yep.
And then
And we're seeing that Beck talks about what Beck wants to talk about.
Yeah.
that's right. And then, David is hearing, from Beck, and it's just on and on and on and on. And there's a lot of, oh, poor me, oh, poor me, oh, poor me. Yep, right, yep. And you wouldn't be able to, knowing that you'd seen the text messages, all the text messages.
No, it's an unreasonable request not to
At that point,
respond. You have to.
You wouldn't be able to not say, look, just, can we stop talking now? Because we've seen every single text message.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to
But
say.
even that is too much information, according to Alissa.
Yeah.
Alissa wants to be there and see her face when
Yeah.
and yeah, I get that.
Yep.
But I feel for David in that he was limited in his ability to go to that meeting and do what he needs to do
Yep.
by Alissa. And the question now, the only question out of all of this that I have is, how does Alissa respond to the news that he talked about in the messages? She could be extraordinarily reasonable about it and say, oh, I would have liked to have seen that, right? Or she could snap it, or anywhere in between those two.
And they're not.
Alissa only knows in these high pressure situations where there is the potential for conflict or something that's a bit, ooh, she only knows from all her previous relationships that
Goes to a place of drama.
This turns to a place of a huge screaming match, a huge argument.
Yeah.
And David doesn't argue. It's right. He doesn't argue. And so, it's not going to end well.
It's not, no. Okay.
Okay, I'm not gonna put money on it, but I'm going to say that Alissa might be reasonable.
Who thinks Alyssa's going to be reasonable?
You know what? Yeah, I do. Because
It's split 50-50.
it is split 50-50. She could totally be reasonable.
No.
I say
she
Alyssa's
has-
going to be reasonable because of her reaction to hearing that there are receipts and her not flying off the handle reading said receipts. Right. All the way through this, she's been reasonable. Even though it's not her world, and normally she would go into drama. But I think David's influence on her it goes towards the reasonable, and her throwing drama at David isn't going to help her, and I think she's bright enough to see that. So let's find out.
Yeah. And
But I felt like the comments were vile, disgusting. And
Replay it is.
very
The milk
mean
on it.
and vicious.
But
Like,
how
those
do you know
comments were-
what were?
Let's all pull the face.
We've seen it.
Did Juliette send them to Alissa?
She did.
She's like that. In movies, there's the trope of the new guy in prison. She's like the new guy in prison.
She is a bit, yeah.
Right, who accepts a gift from someone, then ends up owing everybody, and then, a couple of weeks into the sentence, they're being beaten up and knocked around, and they end up in solitary, and the whole. That's exactly what Beck is in this.
Yeah, all she did was accept that packet of cigarettes
Yeah,
upon entering
from
prison.
Gia.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Gia's
it
the
couldn't be
kingpin.
that bad. She's being friendly. She's offered me a packet of cigarettes.
Yeah.
There can't be any conditions tied to this in prison, can there now?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, she's got herself a girlfriend.
And
And she's-
next thing you know, there is all sorts of stuff happening, and then you end up in solitary and with an extended sentence on top of it.
Yeah.
And you go,
Ah.
huh?
Yeah, she's in solitary sharpening a toothbrush right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you going to do?
It's with the whole Gia's the master manipulator. Gia is the master manipulator. We know that, okay?
No,
not
she's
a
the master in this situation.
She's not a. Gia's not a visionary. Beck is not a visionary. Okay,
No.
it's not. It's you're not seeing through the cracks in the system. It's obvious. Okay, but just because Gia is really good at what she's doing doesn't mean she made you say that. Gia is not the reason that you put those words out there. She's the reason that you texted them. She's the reason that they're proof now. But she didn't put the words in your mouth.
I'm going to go one step further than that, and I'm going to say Beck's issue now. I mean, she's just learnt you don't put stuff in writing, right, when it can come back to hurt you. This is not an advanced thinker.
I knew that before I was 10.
Yeah, I know.
And you didn't even get a mobile phone until you were 13.
Yeah.
Okay, so Beck's just learned that, and she's dealing with Gia, and like you say, Beck actually wrote these words down.
Yeah.
Right? Which proves that it's Beck's nastiness on paper.
Yeah.
Or on screen, whatever. But if you're in a group and everybody around is being even nastier, right, and they take your bit out of context and send it, it could be that Beck was just trying to keep up. She was just trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And she knew that by attacking Alissa, who she didn't particularly like from home anyway, so it was no loss to her, even if she didn't really know her. So it was no loss to her, and she thought, well, this is my opportunity to get in with the cool crowd,
Yeah.
which I think is exactly where she's come from with it. Right? Then in that case, it is Gia's fault and Mel's fault and all of their faults that Beck went that direction. She may never have gone there if that conversation hadn't been there.
Yeah.
But, as you say, she's still the one who wrote it down and she needs to take responsibility for it.
Yep.
Right.
That she said to Danny that she was going in there going to lie, and then she went in there lying, that she didn't really say anything that bad, wasn't really that big of a deal. I'm glad that he knows. I'm glad that Alissa and David know how bad it really was, but it is incredibly frustrating that there was a point where she could have gotten away with that.
Now, the other thing is, this is clearly the worst things she said. Okay? Because if it wasn't, Gia wouldn't have used it. She would have selected the worst things she said. So at least they know now there's nothing worse. But the knowledge that these are the worst things she said, and the likelihood that she was sort of primed up and pushed to say them, right? You can still feel for Beck a little. I was going to say that this was 7 weeks ago, apparently, right? That this was written down.
Yeah.
7 weeks is a long time to forget the actual severity of what you might have said.
True.
Right? It's nearly 2 months. But do you remember what you said in a text message 2 months ago?
Probably not.
Okay.
Depends on to who.
Do you remember what you said in one of these videos 2 months ago? Well, yes. Because we can see those back.
Yeah.
Right? So the thing is, I was going to give Beck the benefit of the doubt of remembering it nicer than it was.
Yeah.
But then the reaction on her face, though,
yeah,
when she found out,
that was like being caught out,
yeah, she knew
yeah
the severity that she went to.
Because he didn't even say what she'd said. He just said, "We've seen them."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, maybe she. Yeah. Anyway, she's in the wrong.
Yeah.
So we see little glimpses, but basically we see Gia didn't go, and she sat on the balcony with the doors open, and Scott came back in and freaked out because she's never had the doors open.
I mean, I like to think about Gia hiding in the toilet. That cracks me up a bit,
yeah.
if I'm completely honest.
Yeah.
She made that whole, I sat on the balcony and listened to Coldplay. Yeah, he was gone for like 3 hours. You spent 2 of them cowering in the toilet, trying to avoid the producers.
Yeah. So Scott freaked out because Gia had the doors open on the balcony and was sitting at the balcony,
which she never does.
She's never done that. And,
he's like a spooked gazelle. He's seen like the headlights coming. Oh, hang on a minute, this is not good.
Yes. So he
goes into it and goes, "Oh, well, how did you go? How was yours? You know, maybe you opening up will help me open up." And she went, "I didn't go, Scott. I didn't feel like it, Scott."
Yep. And you're a bad guy for going, Scott, is what she didn't say, but what she meant.
She was totally trying to gaslight him into the whole, "Yeah, Scott, if you've gone and you've felt anything with another woman, we're over. Sorry, Scott."
She kind of did the I manned up and didn't go. How about you? Were you a big girl? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then she was very mean. She was very Gia fake on the
so
whole
bad.
Stella giving Scott
She was so mean about the crystal.
She was, because like he said, I mean, Stella didn't know who was going to be there.
No, that's right.
This was a
gesture.
A gesture. Kind of just lied.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he flat out lied.
Scott needs to think about it, okay? Scott needs to think about it over a course of maybe a week, and he's got to write leave.
I'm not sure if Scott's got the ability to think about it, but he's realised now the abject fear that he is in from Gia. If nothing else out of all of this, I don't think he realised how much fear he has of Gia until today. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what someone says, right? If he'd have walked in there and it had been Rachel, and Rachel said, "Oh, Scott, I don't want to say anything because I'm too scared of Gia," that might have been enough to trigger his fear of Gia. Like, people won't even talk because of it. Right? Now, he's realised because he's been stuck in the middle of it. And did he even say something like, "Oh, I wasn't going to say anything because..." I get the vibe he said that to the producers.
He said after the fact about how I was going in there with my whole big game plan to talk about how I felt, and then I really couldn't.
Yeah. So, yeah, sad, really.
It is, yeah.
Yep. It became very apparent to him when they were having a conversation, and she said, well, you know, I don't do drama. You could see the look on his face.
It was like, you are drama.
Was everything seems to be drama. If you don't see any of this as drama, then what do you see as drama?
Yeah, what is drama
I'm
to
seeing
you?
all this as drama, and this is like freaking me out, man.
Yeah.
Freaking me out.
SOS, someone help me here. Like, someone help.
I think it's really interesting. Confronted with Gia, he was like a 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Petra, he's absolutely terrified.
Yep, he was just doing the, oh, this is not good. Anyway, thank you to all our new subscribers.
Because there are many.
We love you.
200 of them.
Yep.
And
More than 200.
And our existing subscribers, thank you. Now to all those people that are stalking us, just subscribe.
Don't hide behind the bushes. Come out into the open. We're accepting of you. And, of course, we know that our subscribers report, no, they actually report to us now, that it makes them more attractive and more emotionally intelligent. So, simple subscription. Click of a button. All of your goals.
Yeah. All you do is hit subscribe, like, drop some comments. We're loving them. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, beautiful people. We'll see you next time.
Bye.